Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Thursday, Themeless Thursday, but also the first round and second round picks of our March Madness men's bracket. So check out that if you want to play along or just are interested in what we're picking with no logic whatsoever, just gut feeling. Let's go ahead and get to our headlines here. Today on Before Coffee, that's in a different language. 8 days in jail for a Russian woman who wrote "No to War" on her ballot. And Macron receives criticism for boxer photos.
And we look at worldwide inflation and compare how your country does.
In culture news, where is Kate? Chaos and speculation surrounds the UK's royal family.
And as we mentioned earlier, we picking our brackets.
You can just end it there.
I don't have another story.
No, that's what I'm saying. Just do the bit.
I did.
No, the bit where you go.
Oh. Those stories and more. Right on. Right on, so I don't have more stories. Well, maybe I'll find a story, but we're going to do an in-depth inflation thing. Those stories and more, which is National Memory Day and also another day I can't remember. National Spray Tan Day. March 21st, 2024 on Before Coffee.
Alrighty. Two quick drama stories is what I want to call them, because it's just kind of like, oh my god, people are... Well, one isn't a drama thing. One is like, hey, you can't even write "no war" on your ballot without getting arrested in Russia. This is coming out of hot news from Sebastian Prikop. A Russian woman has been found guilty of degrading state property and discrediting the Russian military for writing "no to war" on her ballot, AFP reports. She will have to serve 88 days in jail. Okay, I thought it was 80 days. I was like, wow. According to the investigation, during the presidential election in which Vladimir Putin received a fifth term as president with an 87% voting percentage, by the way, the woman took the ballot paper with a red marker, wrote "no to war" on the back, and then inserted it into the ballot box. For her actions, the Russian authorities sentenced her to 8 days in prison and to the payment of 40,000 rubles, the equivalent of 400 euros. And what do they say about fines? If there's a fine, it's only a punishment for poor people. OVD Info, an independent project that monitors the observance of human rights in Russia, announced that 119 people were arrested following the protests that took place between March 15th and 17th during the presidential elections in Russia. The Russian opposition urged Russians to protest during the presidential election by turning out in a large number at the same time at Sunday on noon. According to official information, excluding electronic voting, 74.5 million voters participated in the elections. 64.7 million of them, according to the Central Electoral Commission, voted for Putin. Vladimir Putin officially won the election with a score of 87.28%, but an analysis by the publication Novaya Gazeta used to identify statistical anomalies showed that 31.6 million votes were attributed to Vladimir Putin in the weekend's Russian presidential election were added from Penn. So there you go. Some totally legal democracy. We did it. We voted, and you only had one choice. So yeah, democracy. And don't write no to war on the back of your ballot. You'll get fined. Protesting votes should be thrown out, I guess, and then even less people voted.
Like it was a real election.
Yeah, no.
Your choices
speaking
are
of somebody who
Putin,
did actually get elected, this is about Macron from France. He's getting criticized because he has some boxing photos. The French president is damaging his own politics with photos with which he showed himself as a muscle-bound, snarling boxer. Not my opinion. I don't think he's snarling. He looks normal, but Der Standard has its own opinion on boxing, I guess. Emmanuel Macron is not the worst leader France has ever had. According to these people. Elected to in the Elysee, In 2017, when he was less than 40 years old, he brought many essential reforms to his country. He has pursued a clear line in the Ukrainian war since the beginning. His most recent statements were only consistent. If it is unthinkable for Europe that Putin's Russia wins in a war of aggression, then we must also do something about it. But Macron wouldn't be Macron if he didn't destroy this positive impression himself. In 2019, he disavowed his well-founded criticism of NATO by describing the North Atlantic Treaty as a brain-dead treaty. Now he's overshadowed his sensible words with a comment about the possible deployment of ground troops. Previous ill-considered statements have already made it clear how much the president's own very narcissistic, omnipotent personality keeps getting in the way and playing tricks. Yet again, this is their standards opinion, not mine. I don't know the guy. I don't know if he's a narcissist. I would assume most people who want to be in power are narcissists, though. So, fair enough. New images now bear witness to this showing muscular, snarling president boxing. They were created by his official photographer, Sozig de la Moissonnière. One can therefore assume that they were published with his approval, even at request of the president, and apparently not even retouched. The problem is that they seem very out of place against the current war backdrop. Reactions range from embarrassment, astonishment, to open criticism of the neo-populist virilism. What is serious is that Macron is once again offering his right-wing Marine Le Pen a target. The Russian-friendly president candidate had already declared at the beginning of the week that Macron was not serious when, as the newspaper Le Monde reported, he declared at a soiree at 3 a.m. with a glass of whiskey in hand and executing his grounds troop statement. He will probably have to send guys to Odessa. So he's being he's being a little unserious. And Le Pen are using his unserious nature as a reason why he's a sham politician, I guess. But that's right-wingers for you, in my opinion. That's what they all they do is, if they can't find something wrong with your politics, just make fun of you. So Macron once again appears as a self-aggrandizing, not to say self-absorbed warmonger who cannot distinguish between geopolitics and his ego, while the demagogic Putinist Le Pen can present herself as the voice of reason. It's a shame that Macron is knocking himself out in this way. And that's their opinion. But there you go, the two drama things about really Russia and how we still hate Russia, or they suck. Woo! Your story about inflation.
Okay. We have an inflation sort of story, and then we have like a chart, not a chart because it's actually full of facts and figures, but you can make it into a chart of inflation worldwide. This is news about the Fed and rate cuts. This is from CNBC. Jesse Pound, which is he writes his name backward. It says Pound Jesse. I'm sure little bullies love that one. Anyway, Federal Reserve members still see interest rate cuts in 2024 despite an improving outlook for economic growth. The Federal Open Market Committee's March projection for rate cuts, or the so-called dot plot, shows a median federal fund rate cut of 4.6% in 2024, with the current federal funds rate range of 5.25 to 5.5. So that's almost a full point from 5.5. The dot implies 3 cuts of 0.25 percentage points each, and they're predicting them in like April. The previous summary of economic projections from SEP from December also showed 3 rate cuts in 2024. However, the project change in real GDP was for 2.1% in March, projection up from 1.4 in December. Core PCAE inflation projections also ticked up from 2.6 to 2.6 from 2.4. The updated projections came after inflation reports for January and February dampened hopes that Fed price increases are under control. The traders had already been dialing back rate cut projections for this year ahead of Wednesday's update from the central bank. Fed Chair Jerome Powell said in a news conference Wednesday that the central bank wasn't completely dismissing the recent inflation reports, though he did say that January data may have been distorted by seasonal factors. I take the two of them together, and I think they haven't really changed the overall story, which is that of inflation moving down gradually on a sometimes bumpy road towards 2%, Powell said. There were some smaller changes within the dot plot. In December, there was a bigger split among the Fed members, with the two FOMC votes indicating 0 cuts in 24 and others seeing 6 reductions. Additionally, the median projections for the Fed fund rate for 25 rose to 3.9 from 3.6%, implying 1 less cut. The long-run projection for that benchmark rate ticked up 1 from 2.6, or ticked up to 2.6 from 2.5. So, long story short, the Fed's probably going to cut rates this year, either 2 or 3 times. And what drives the rate cuts for interest rates? It is inflation, because they think they control it with those things. And I have a handy little chart, and we'll start with the G20 of who has the highest inflation. Who do you think would have the highest inflation in the G20? And you would think, oh my God, the United States is horrible. But actually, if you just look at the chart, United States, these are somewhere in the middle. This is looking at last month's inflation, February 24. United States inflation was 3.2, somewhere in the middle. The lowest is China of the G20, 0.7. Of course, they're communists. So if you want to be low inflation, be a communist.
Not really communist, but
or if you want to be high inflation, be a communist. It works. It doesn't really work that way, because if you go to America, if you look at the highest inflation, right? Venezuela is basically a communist country, highly socialist anyway. 75% interest. So I'm sorry, 75% inflation. So that's not a formula. Argentina has the highest inflation in probably the world. Let's see, who has the highest inflation in the world? Argentina. Argentina at 276%. Of course, Argentina devalued their currency, right? So if you click on Argentina's future outcast, this is on tradingeconomics.com. There's a lot of helpful tradingeconomics.com/Argentina/inflations CPI will give you a forecast. And they're forecasting they'll be down to 30% inflation by next year. All right. Down from 276. Of course, yeah. Their new president, of course, is bombastic, to say the least. And he cut their currency value in half. That's why their inflation is so high. And it hasn't been going up. It hasn't been going down. Any countries you want to know about?
You
want to go about the Netherlands?
My country.
Okay, you didn't ask me, but I'm going to click
the country
anyway.
I'm in currently.
Huh? Well, the viewers can't look it up themselves instantly like I can. 2.8% in Netherlands, which is lower than the United States. Congratulations. You know who has the lowest rate in Europe?
We did it. I don't know what we did, but we did it.
Who's the lowest inflation in Europe? Who would be your guy? What?
I'm going to guess it is...
What did we do?
Huh? I don't know.
You'll never guess
Austria. I've never heard anything about Austria.
Latvia.
Oh, I was close.
At 0.4 is their inflation. Yeah. The lowest inflation of the G20? You want to know that one? That is probably, besides China, is Italy.
Really?
Italy.
Oh, wow.
0.75% inflation.
I was going to guess Italy, but then I was like, maybe not.
Germany is really low, 2.5.
Well,
if you go back to these charts, like if you click on a country, you can see where they progressed. Like the little graph. Click on forecast, it'll show where we are now and stuff that's already happened. So if you go to March of last year, inflation in Germany was 7.4. Right. Right now, it's 2.6. Okay, so you can build any country on this chart. There's every country. It's really cool. It's very interactive, very helpful. If you click on a column for the inflation rates, it'll sort them. Lowest to highest, highest to lowest for you. Really cool. We hate Russia, right? We don't hate Russia. We hate Putin. right? So let's look at Europe's inflation. What is Russia's inflation rate? Because we all want to write on them. Russia's inflating is 7.7. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say if they even properly research the inflation rate in Russia, right? They probably just throw out some statistics, so it makes it look
Consumer
better.
Price Index. I mean, well, I think economists can bypass the official government horseshit. So, yeah.
I hope so.
You don't necessarily have to look at their well, Argentina. Well, Russia's has kind of been holding steady at really crappy 7%. So they're not doing anything great. If you go to Palestine, for instance, let's look at Asia.
How can they have an inflation rate?
The highest is Lebanon. Palestine is 27.2, which is lower than a lot of places like Iran and Syria, which is, Syria's kind of war-torn itself, as Lebanon is from time to time also. So Lebanon and Syria have the highest inflation in Asia.
Sudan's also war-torn.
I'm sorry?
Sudan is also war-torn.
Sudan? That's right. Let's look at Sudan. Africa. Yeah, Sudan and Africa, their inflation rate is the highest at 63.3.
Crazy how that works.
Still not as high as Argentina.
Argentina's not even a war. That's pretty
trend.
Impressive. Argentina having the highest inflation rate and not even being in the middle of a conflict.
Prices go up during war. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Argentina is just poorly run. So the forecast for Sudan is to go way down. So, not like this. Not
like with Argentina.
Their forecast is to be down way down compared to what it is now. 63% down to 34%, which is half. But they're at war. And if you look at countries like Haiti, you might not even get a report. Let's see. It'd be America. Alphabetical order. Oh, yeah, Haiti is 20.9. So inflation across the world. We got a chart here. Not really a great story, but we can definitely check all the war-torn places. We can check the great economies. Look at great economies like Japan and Korea, right? Japan, South Korea is 3.1%. North Korea, let's look them up, man. Huh? What do you think? Does North Korea even have an economy we can measure? North Korea's not on the list, man.
They don't have an economy.
Anyway. Well, let's make it alphabetical.
They're counterculture, man. Economy, who?
I just can't find them. Yeah, they should be on the list with South Korea. They're not, because they're basically totalitarian. Basically, come get your stuff. You can buy everything really cheap in North Korea as long as it's wheat. Anyway, same thing in China. China inflation is really low. In fact, China last month, as we talked about, our last quarter was having deflation, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Now they're having inflation, but it's really low.
Like,
you don't want deflation either, because nobody's doing anything. You have no economic activity. But back to you. I guess you do a culture section, or are you going to do the
Yeah, we're doing a
first?
culture section. You'll do this day in history, and then we'll go into the brackets. Right.
All right, then. And Australia? Let's do Australia. We didn't do that one.
I thought you were
they're a part of the G20. Australia's at 4.1. Oh, no. Sorry. I was just into this chart, interactive chart.
I love numbers and pictures with lines. All right. In our
Australia's
culture segment,
5.4 and New Zealand is, 4.1. Okay. 4.1. Sorry. Good.
In culture news, this is from Euronews Culture. The hashtag Where is Kate is trending for a couple days now, I think, especially in the UK, and everyone is trying to figure out what they're hiding, if they're even hiding anything. The rumors and speculation have run rife. Anyone with a shred of PR know-how will tell you that it didn't need to be this way. First, the initial Mother's Day photo of Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales, was removed by several press agencies and had been clearly manipulated. Then, in a shockingly weird mood, Kensington Palace made Kate the fall guy for the photo. A publicly posted apology from the Princess of Wales claiming that she edited the image herself fell on deaf ears. We talked about this previously when it happened. Also why it's monumentally absurd for the royal family's uptight press team to expect the public to believe this complex, Stalin-esque Photoshop revisionism was the product of a princess tapping away on her Mac. Now, the latest detail to add into the mix is a video published by The Sun, the most reputable of papers, as we all know. That's sarcasm. That attempts to put the wild speculations to bed by capturing the Prince and Princess of Wales going out on a casual farm shop in Windsor. Immediately, the internet was once again ablaze with suggestions that the woman walking beside Prince William was not, in fact, Kate Middleton. Some suggested it was an AI deepfake. Others believe it's a stand-in actor. The entire furor over the whereabouts of the UK's Queen-in-Waiting is only getting bigger. Where is Kate and other versions of the tag are trending on Twitter, while increasingly bizarre conspiracy theories on TikTok spread like wildfire. It's all this because the royal family's PR team has refused to properly elaborate on the princess's health. Kate was last seen in public in Christmas of 2023 before she underwent abdominal surgery in 17th of January. Palace said it was unlikely that the princess would resume public duties until at least Easter, which falls at the end of March this year. Then, unprompted, they released the Mother's Day photo. This entire conspiracy theory scandal is a complete unforced error on the part of the palace. Whatever state Kate is in, whether she's perfectly fine or content to stay away from the limelight, or taking a lot of time to recover from a difficult surgery, no one asked for the Mother's Day photo. The complete unbelievable excuse about the photo was not a requirement. They could have easily come clean and explained how the image was created instead of further entrenching the speculation. Finally, this farm shop video, originally posted by TMZ, is worth digging into the way the British press ran with the image. While The Sun isn't renowned in many corners of Britain for its quality journalism, they generally do follow the demands of the palace when they make demands over maintaining the privacy of the royal family. That The Sun and that every other outlet pushed this unofficial video shows the British press is confident that the palace won't respond with bared teeth and have them remove it. The implication is either this photo shoot was set up by the palace, or they're happy with this being their method of refuting the conspiracy theories. Either way, a grainy video that feels like a 20th century Bigfoot sighting is a pretty weird tactic to try and get this whole crazy thing to go away. Yeah, it's like the worst filmed video ever. It's like, okay, we have smartphones for 20 years now, people. Really? We're still filming them like this in a corner. Oh, I can't see what's going on, you know? We have to be better than, there's no way this is real. Which brings us to the crux of the matter. All this could go away if the royal family weren't so obsessed with their privacy. How dare they? If they want to be royal families, they need to forgo their privacy. That is the social contract they've been given, okay? If they simply came out and explained clearly what had happened, why they'd made the peculiar decisions they made, there would be a small chance of this ending. The current scenario is that they've been put nearly all of their future public communications under suspicion, which is highly desirable for the nation's figureheads. And should the royal family have any claim to privacy anyways? By definition, they are not a private family. They are part of a state, no less private than the civil service or the NHS. While 3 members of staff in London Clinic are investigated for breaching Kate's medical records, shouldn't details of the royal family's health be freely known to the public? They are our heads of state. Well, they are the UK's heads of state. The person writing this article is British. The very act of existing within the royal family is one that foregoes your right to complete privacy. You can exist in an ordinary family, get a job, a mortgage, and one day retire all away from the limelight. Or you can exist with a hereditary monarchy, whose power over the nation is still imbued by divine right. In modern day terms, I think that means your medical records should be available to anyone willing to send in a Freedom of Information request. Harry and Meghan have done all they can to remove themselves from the requirements of the public institution to grasp at their privacy because they recognize that to be in the royal family is to be a public possession of the British public. Forget FOI requests, they should set up Big Brother house-style CCTV and stream every move of the royal family. It would certainly have cleared up a few details on Prince Andrew's life. While royalists will make some reasonable claims about how press intrusion into the family's privacy is somewhat responsible for the death of Princess Diana, I have a simple solution to them. If you don't like it, abdicate. Okay, so that's, who wrote this article, actually? I didn't say who did. This was written by, probably David. It's always David. No, actually, it's by Johnny Walfitz. Johnny Walfitz wants the royal family to abdicate, or tell us what happened to Kate. What's wrong with her? There's theories that she's dead. There's theories that she's being divorced and that, another woman's going to replace her, just like what happened to Diana, right? There's so many crazy theories. And I'm really hoping it's not that she's dead, because a lot of people are really angry if another woman is killed by the royal family again, Whether or not Diana was killed by the royal family, of course, it's just a conspiracy. But you can definitely argue the lifestyle attributed to her downfall, at least. Sorry, what were you saying?
I said they went to the Paul McCartney duplicates factory.
Yeah.
To get a Kate Middleton model.
Yeah. But that's my story.
The AI Kate Middleton model 46B. People care way too much about this shit, right? Way too much. It's like, I'm supposed to hate, who's the other one? I'm supposed to hate them for some reason. The one that doesn't want to be in a royal family anymore. I'm supposed to hate them for some reason. I'm like,
Meghan, yeah.
I don't give a shit. How about that? Yeah. Yeah, Meghan, yeah. Oh, she's American. Let's hate her. Okay. Whatever. That's good enough reason to hate anybody, I suppose, but don't hold it against me. Just where I was born, man. Okay, so this week in history. And I did send you a classical music mic drop because it's Bach's birthday. 1556, on this day, Thomas Cranmer, the first Protestant Archbishop of Canterbury, was burned at the stake for violating heresy laws revised under the Roman Catholic Queen Mary I, known as Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary murdered people for not being Catholic, and we celebrate her by making a vodka drink. And 1685, German composer Johann Sebastian Bach, who is generally considered the greatest composer of all time, was born. So happy birthday, Johann Sebastian Bach. You are now 339. Happy birthday, Bach. In 1768, French mathematician Joseph Fourier, or Fourier, as they would say in the United States, because that's what we do to language. Joseph Fourier, who has exerted strong influence in the mathematical physics through his analytical theory of heat, was born in Auxerre. Auxerre, spelled Auxerre. In 1806, Mexican national hero Benito Juarez was born in San Pablo, Guadalajara, Oaxaca. Of course, Benito Juarez, this town of Juarez, the city of Juarez, named after him. They renamed it in his honor. Man, bet you wish you had a city named after you, huh? 1880, German painter Hans Hofmann, an influential art teacher and pioneer in the use of improvisatory techniques, whose work paved the way for American painters to develop abstract expressionism. So Hans Hofmann, a very creative guy. 1918, the Second Battle of Somme began in World War I. 1925, the Butler Act, which outlawed the teaching of evolution in Tennessee schools, was signed into law. Don't teach us information we don't want to know. You're scaring us. The legislation was the center of the Scopes trial, and it was not repealed until 1967. And they're probably trying to pass it again in Tennessee because, oh no, you're teaching our kids that God didn't wave a wand and create everything. Don't teach evolution, they said. It's information. You're going to confuse people. We're stupid. Anytime the government tells you you can't learn something, wow, You don't want them people in charge. They're trying to protect you? No.
Curiosity is the lifeblood of humanity.
About 70 black African demonstrations were protected by the government. Sorry?
Curiosity is the lifeblood of humanity. Denying curiosity is just restrictive fascism.
Yeah. As soon as you start banning books, you're going to make them popular. It's the same thing as closing the border, right? We're going to close the border. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to create a rush to the border. That's all you're going to do. Because people are going to panic. 1960, speaking of protecting, the government protecting you. 1960, about 7 black African demonstrators were protected by the police in Sharpeville. In other words, they were killed by the police in Sharpeville, Gauteng province during a protest against South Africa's pass laws. What are the South African pass laws? Well, that was apartheid, basically. That's what it was. It was the apartheid laws.
Yeah.
I don't know why they just didn't say apartheid, because everybody knows what that is. 1965, American civil rights activists led by Martin Luther King Jr. began a protest march in Selma, Alabama, and they were protected by the government again. So there you go. Protecting us from knowledge. 1980, U.S. President Jimmy Carter announced the United States was boycotting the Summer Olympics in Moscow to protest the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. History repeats itself in Ukraine, but we don't protest the Olympics in Moscow. We just don't give them the Olympics in Moscow. In fact, we don't even let Russia in the Olympics anymore because they cheat. They cheat. They're not allowed in the Olympics. Does anybody realize that? Russia is so bad at cheating at everything, they're not allowed in the Olympics. They're officially not allowed. If their athletes want to join, they have to go pass a doping test, and they got to join their own Russian Federation team thing. Not even a real country. That's how bad Russia is. So anyway, this day in history, Russia, which was protecting Afghanistan by invading it, we're going to do that for all time, from now on, all time, for every time the government does something stupid. They're protecting us. 1980, and one of the most famous cliffhangers in American television, season 3 of Dallas ended up the shooting of J.R. Ewing. Of course, they were just protecting J.R. Ewing. The phrase, "Who shot J.R.?" entered the lexicon of American popular culture. It should have been, "Who was protecting J.R.?" Yes, it should be. In 1990, after 106 years of German and South African rule, Namibia became independent. Woohoo! Under the boot of German rule and basically Dutch, British rule for centuries. They finally got the independence. 2006, Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey. Remember him? The guy who just decided, fuck Twitter. Should have held on to it, Jack. Now it's all fucked. Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey sent the first public tweet, which read, "Just setting up my Twitter." So 18 years of Twitter, and it's just getting worse. 2017, Irish politician Martin McGuinness, who, as a member of Sinn Féin, the political wing of the Irish Republican Army, played an individual role in negotiating the Good Friday Agreement in 1998, died at the age of 66. And our feature biography is Saint Angela Merici, Roman Catholic saint, born on March 21st, 1474, in Garasanzo, Italy, died January 27th, 1540 in Brescia, Italy. And our featured event is the closing of Alcatraz Prison. The U.S. federal prison in San Francisco's Bay Alcatraz Prison was closed on this day in 1963. And our time capsule? March 21st, 1946, Fiorello H. LaGuardia was named Director General of the UNRRA, succeeding Herman A. Lehman. I don't know what the UNRRA is. It's probably United Nations, something or other. LaGuardia was the mayor of New York. Our birthdays today, 1949, Slavoj Zizek, Slovene philosopher and culture theorist, was born. Gary Oldman, British actor, born in 1958. Lothar Matthias, German football player, born in 1961. Rosie O'Donnell's birthday today. She turned 62. She was born in 62, so it's her golden birthday. I don't know what that is. If you're born in 62 and you're 62, that means you're round it out. I don't know. Adrian
I don't have
Peterson,
no idea.
American football player and famous dad,
I don't have no idea.
American football player and famous dad, was born in 1985. So happy 37 to, 39, sorry, to Adrian Peterson. And what day is it today? It is, it was national, it's a lot of things today. National French Bread Day. French bread. It's National California Strawberry Day. California strawberries. National Fragrance Day. Fragrance Day.
With
so smell good.
Cologne and
It's National
perfume
Farm
on.
Rescuer Day. Farm Rescuer. Yep. You're going to be smelly because you're on the farm. National Countdown Day. We're counting down to something. I'm not exactly sure, but we're counting down to sometime today should be the equinox too. Sometimes either today or tomorrow we'll have a perfectly 12-hour day in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. But of course, the equator, you're going to have a the equinox is different depending where you are in the world, I should say, because we're always moving. It's National Memory Day. It's Absolutely Incredible Kids Day. Absolutely incredible kids. Not just incredible, absolutely incredible. That means every entire part of them is incredible. Absolutely. Absolute. There's a reason they're called absolutes, because it leaves no exceptions. So if your kids have exceptionally, without any part of them being incredible, wow, that'd be amazing.
They're perfect.
I don't understand those words. Not. Well, it's like my favorite name for a band is a Marty Stewart's band. Marty Stewart's a country music musician, but he has his own band. You know what they're called? They're called the Fabulous. What are they called? I forgot it. The
no idea.
Superlatives. The Fabulous Superlatives. That's the name of their band. The Fabulous Superlatives. I forgot their name. It's National Memory Day, and I forgot. Anyway, the Fabulous Superlatives, my favorite name for a band.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Absolutely incredible. Yeah, absolutely incredible Kids Day. So back to you.
All right, let's start with our bracket picks, I guess. For the men's bracket of 2024, we're going to choose round 1 and round 2 because we won't be here for round 2. So we're just going to choose them now so we can know if we lost on Monday. If we
Darn it.
Let's start with
Get out your brackets and your pencils and get out your little gambling apps.
Oh yeah, freaking print your bracket off of the
I'll even tell you which games I bet on.
It's 2,000 because some people don't have fill-in brackets. Well, the women's bracket does. We couldn't find a women's bracket that lets you actually digitally fill in your picks for some reason. So
interactive one.
Yeah, interactive one. Let's start with the East Conference, I guess is what the correct term is. Now that let's go over who won the first 4 picks, right? So for the South, we had Boise State and Colorado, and I chose Boise, which lost. So, whoops. I wrote it down on a piece of paper.
I chose Boise. I went 1 and 3.
Yeah.
The only winner I had was Grambling in that one.
Midwest, I chose Grambling versus Montana State. So 88-81 though, pretty close game. Then we've got the Midwest Final Four, or first 4, sorry, which was Colorado State and Virginia, and I won with the Colorado State. And then Virginia had
10
42
points in the first half, which is horrible.
They shouldn't have been in the thing at all. And then we have the West with Howard and Wagner. I chose Wagner. So, yeah, 3 to 1, 1 to 3. Let's go ahead and go through the East Conference.
All right, so that sets up
bracket. Round 1 and 2.
The Eastern Regional. Eastern Regional, it's called.
Sorry.
The Regional.
First is UConn, which is ranked 1, and Stetson ranked 16, and I went with UConn.
UConn and Stetson. I've got UConn because they're playing a hat. And I don't know if a hat can actually play basketball, but let's see. In their next game?
All right, next game is FAU and Northwestern with 8 and 9 respectively. I'm going to go with FAU. And for the round 2, I have UConn winning against FAU.
FAU is Florida Atlantic, which is right. And FAU is Florida Atlantic, which did awesome last year. So I'm taking them, and I've got them beating UConn and advancing to the Sweet 16. So there you go.
All right. Next matchup is San Diego State, I think, versus UAB. I chose San Diego.
University of Alabama, Birmingham.
That's who you chose?
Sorry, I'm talking over you.
No, you're not. There's just a delay.
I chose San Diego State.
Okay. And then we have Auburn and Yale. I chose Yale, with San Diego State winning against Yale in the second round.
I've got Auburn with Bruce Pearl as coach, which is a Wisconsin connection, but you know that. The only reason I'm picking them probably. But they got them beating Yale, but losing to San Diego State in the next round and facing FAU in the Sweet 16.
Okay. Then we have BYU and I never can say this one. Duquesne.
Duquesne.
Huh?
Duquesne.
Okay, yeah,
Duquesne.
French. I have BYU because Mormons, I don't know.
Yes.
The power of Mormonism will triumph, I guess.
No, it's no, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Jesuits, but we'll see.
Okay. And then next is Illinois and Moorhead, which I have Moorhead because that's a funny Moorhead State, Moorhead. What is a Moorhead? So they're going to go, but I think BYU will win against Moorhead in the second round.
Okay, well, I've got Illinois, of course, beating. That would be an upset if they lost. I've got Duquesne beating BYU, though.
Yeah. And then who's going to Sweet 16?
Advancing to the Sweet 16.
Okay.
I'm an upset picking fool. I'm an upset picking fool today.
All right. For the final West Regional, we have Washington State and Drake. I chose Drake because I like Drakes. That's it.
I chose Drake because I thought it was the rapper.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you're a fan, are you?
And I've got Iowa State beating South Dakota State, and not really. And I've got Iowa State beating South Dakota State, and advancing by beating Drake to play Duquesne in the Sweet 16. So there you go. There's a Reese bracket.
I have Iowa State beating South Dakota State, and then Drake going on to the Sweet 16. That's my choice for that one.
Ooh.
No logic. Okay,
so you got Iowa State playing who?
South Illinois? Regional, we have Houston versus
Iowa State's
Longwood.
Playing who then, according to you?
I chose Houston.
Okay. The South Regional. It's over on the right. Okay. You got Houston over Longwood. That's pretty easy.
And then for Nebraska and Texas A&M, I went also Texas A&M because I really want to see Houston and Texas A&M go against each other. And then Houston winning in that matchup.
I've got Houston, Nebraska, and I've got Houston and Nebraska, and I've got Houston winning.
Okay.
And advancing. So.
In the next matchup, we have Wisconsin and James Madison, which aren't those both Wisconsin teams? Where's James Madison?
That's one of your weirder That's one of your weirder matchups because University of Wisconsin is in Madison and they're playing James Madison. Right?
Yeah, confusing.
It's Madison against Madison.
Yeah.
I went Homer on that one and picked Wisconsin.
So did I. And then
it's a 5-12 matchup, by the way. If you're 5-12s, by the way, are notoriously the 12s to win. I don't know why, but
yeah. It's the lucky number.
Yeah. There's usually 2 or 3 5-12 upsets.
I chose Duke.
Unlucky.
And I did not, and I guess I chose Wisconsin winning against Duke in the second round. Might be a
Our
close
brackets
game.
are identical on that one.
Yeah.
I chose Duke beating the Vermont Catamounts. That's the Catamounts. That's the name of their team. The Catamounts.
The Catamounts.
Way to go, Vermont. So I got Wisconsin beating Duke because they owe them big time because Wisconsin lost in the finals to Duke about 10 years ago. So it's 10 years
really?
overdue. Time to get revenge.
So then Houston and Wisconsin
them,
at the 16.
They were in the finals 10 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, next Texas Tech and North Carolina State, and I chose North Carolina State.
NC State.
Yeah.
Me too.
Same. And then for the second one,
Then
we
got
have
the
Kentucky
Kentucky Wildcats
and Oakland, and I
against
chose
Oakland.
Oakland because, I don't know, Oakland.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
There's going to be upsets. There's going to be upsets. So you might as well, right? Why not? It can't be just my team that gets upset all the time.
Yeah, I can't just choose the smaller number. Sometimes I have
Kentucky,
to choose the bigger number.
And I'm also... Yeah, it's called going chalk. You pick the smaller number, you just go on chalk. It works in a women's tournament for the most part because there's a wider gap between the talent at this point. It's getting smaller. As last year, you saw 3 to 4 teams were not number 1 seeds for the first time.
Oh, really?
Anyway, back to the men's tournament. I've got Kentucky beating NC State and going to the Sweet 16.
I have Oakland beating NC State and going to the Sweet 16. Crossing my finger.
Woo! Wow, Oakland, rise it up. Just keeping it rolling. Hey, who knows? Right? You don't know. I know.
All right.
Probably right.
I will go with, for the next matchup, Florida against Colorado, because Colorado just got in from the first 4. I have Florida beating Colorado.
Yep.
And then Kentucky beating Marquette.
I have Colorado advancing.
Oh.
I'm changing that one because I had Boise winning. Okay. So I'm taking Florida.
Yeah.
And then I'm taking Marquette, and I'm taking Marquette, the number 2 seed, which again, I'm a homer. And again, I understand why they want to keep this regional, but why do they put Marquette and Wisconsin in the same bracket again? Assholes. My dream would be Marquette and Wisconsin meeting in the final. It can't happen if they put them in the same bracket.
Oh, yeah,
that's
true.
the end of the South bracket.
Yeah.
By the way, Marquette and Wisconsin are not in the South.
Florida beating Kentucky
famously not in the South.
For my second round, I had Florida beating Kentucky, which who knows? I don't think that's going to happen, but you're probably right. It's going to be Marquette that wins that game. But hey, that's my opposite of chalk.
I have Marquette playing Kentucky in the Sweet 16. After Kentucky beats NC State, Marquette beats Florida. All right. Yeah. Next round.
West.
The Marquette-Florida game ought to be great, by the way. If that happens. We don't know if it will. Anyway.
For the West, we have North Carolina, just the normal one, not the state one. And Wagner, and I have Wagner winning that matchup.
Whoa, a 1 and 16. You got a 16 winning?
Yeah, totally.
Woof. That's happened
really
one
good
time.
Pizza here in the Netherlands. It's called Wagner Pizza.
And you know who it happened to?
Who?
You know who it happened to? The only 1 seed that would lose in the first round? Virginia, the same team that screwed up the first round this year.
Wow.
Way to go, Virginia. Infamous again. Yep. I'm taking North Carolina, though.
Okay. Then we have Mississippi State versus Michigan, and I'm going with Michigan, because fuck Mississippi State.
Michigan State.
I hate them.
The Spartans. The Spartans will beat the Mississippi State Bulldogs. They're beating up on the dogs. I got to give you the team names more. I got the North Carolina Tar Heels beating the Michigan State Spartans and advancing to the Sweet 16. I
have Wagner going all the way to the Sweet 16. Totally gonna do it.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. St. Mary's versus Grand Canyon. I have St. Mary's winning
We're gonna
against
do some
Grand
gambling
Canyon.
if that happens. Yeah.
And then I guess who do you have?
I've got St. Mary's winning, of course, and I have St. Mary's winning, and then playing Alabama.
Okay, well I have them St. Mary's going against Charleston in the Alabama-Charleston game. I'm just choosing randomly. Who knows what will happen? Then we have Clemson, New Mexico. I'm gonna go home with New Mexico because I was born there. So
Crimson Tide. I've got St. Mary's playing Alabama, and St. Mary's beating Alabama and advancing against North Carolina. But okay. What?
And then for the New Mexico Clemson matchup.
Yeah. I've got New Mexico. Homer again. Homer. Homer pick.
And then Baylor and Colgate. I always go for Colgate because it's a freaking, what is it called? Toothpaste. I just can't not choose them.
Yeah, I gotta go with Baylor. They're really good.
I have New Mexico winning against Colgate.
They're really good. I have Baylor advancing against New Mexico.
Okay. They're for Dayton and Nevada.
I've got the Baylor Bears in the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Dayton Flyers.
And then Arizona and LBSU. I have Arizona. With Dayton and Arizona going off, and Arizona going to the Sweet 16. Because I want to see Arizona and New Mexico go against each other.
I've got... that would be nice. But I got Nevada beating Dayton, and I've got Arizona beating Long Beach State. That's LBSU. And Arizona advancing to play Baylor in the Sweet 16. That's
all right. Cool. For our final...
Then we go to the final region, the Midwest.
Yep. We've got Purdue and Grambling. Because Grambling just won their first 4. So I have Purdue winning against Grambling and advancing. Purdue
famously laid an egg last year.
It seems like they're always number 1 or a high ranking.
They laid an egg last year. They had and they have the National Player of the Year, who's like 7'4". But somehow with big guys like that, they don't have a lot of skill. You just get them in foul trouble because you only get 5 fouls and you got to leave the game. So
yeah,
you get them 2 fouls early by pounding them inside. You get them on a bench and you have your way. Wisconsin beat them, so I'm taking Purdue. Sorry, I'm taking Purdue over Grambling.
And then for me, I also have Utah State versus TCU, and I chose TCU because it has a purple slogan, and purple is my favorite color. And
okay. My phone just did something weird. Sorry about that.
He's texting during the friggin' show, man. Look at this guy.
No, I'm not texting. I was looking at my phone for.
I have Purdue winning against TCU in the second round.
Actually, right, I've got Purdue beating Utah State, advancing.
Okay.
To the Sweet 16.
Then we've got Gonzaga versus McNeese. I've never even heard of McNeese, and I'm always going to go Gonzaga because I love that name. I love that name for a university. Gonzaga.
Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Right. Also, I believe the Bulldogs. They are located in Spokane, Washington. I got Gonzaga beating McNeese, and I've got Kansas beating Stanford.
Stanford.
We play Gonzaga, and I got Gonzaga beating Kansas.
All right,
I might take them to the finals this year. Who knows?
I chose Samford for mine because Sam, and I have Gonzaga beating Samford, and then it's going to be Purdue and Gonzaga, in my Sweet 16.
Gonzaga.
Sorry. For the next matchup, we
the
have
final few
South
picks
Carolina and Oregon, and I chose Oregon because it's a Gino.
The Gamecocks versus the Ducks. Couple of birds going at it. The Cocks and the Ducks. I got South Carolina beating Oregon.
And
Creighton,
then for
which is
Creighton
also
and
Bulldogs.
Akron, I
Bulldogs
chose
in
Creighton.
this year.
So Creighton and Oregon in my second round.
Creighton from Omaha, Nebraska. Creighton, which is in Omaha, Nebraska, beats Akron and takes on South Carolina and beats them and advances to the Sweet 16.
I have the same thing with Creighton
Our
advancing.
final 4 games.
Yep, final ones. We have Texas versus Colorado State, where I have Colorado State winning because I chose too many Texas teams earlier, so now I'm not choosing any.
Two more. We got T for Texas and T for Tennessee in this little sub bracket, right?
Yeah.
We got Texas. I got Texas beating Colorado State, and I got Tennessee beating St. Peter's. Even though St. Peter's was in them Cinderella stories a few years ago.
Oh, really? I have Tennessee beating St. Peter's
Texas
as well.
in the Sweet 16 going up against Creighton.
Yeah, I have Tennessee winning against Colorado, Creighton winning, so yeah, the same. Creighton and Tennessee in the Sweet 16. But that's it. That's our whole bracket there for the men's tournament for, I guess, this weekend. So we'll review it on Monday and see how many points we tally. Because I'm not taking any bets. I think he is. I think you're taking bets.
Need to take those picks. Yeah, yeah. Take those picks and run to the casino now. And I'll tell you who I bet on. I bet on Gonzaga to win.
Yeah.
Not merely to cover, I'm betting wins. I don't necessarily like point spreads that much. They're hard to take. I'm taking UConn. That doesn't pay very much.
Yeah.
I'm also taking Kentucky. I'm also taking Iowa State, Illinois, Kansas, Arizona, and the 7-pick parlay with all 7 of those, which pays a lot more than just picking one game.
That's
so
crazy, yeah.
7 of those favorites
parlay
win,
is insane. Yeah.
$7, right? Well, I'm using the strategy of picking 7 heavy favorites. 7 heavy favorites. They can't possibly lose these games they set them up with, right? It doesn't pay a lot, but if you parlay all 7, it does pay a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But the all 7 got to win. Yeah. Anyway, that was my little plan for gambling. That's all for today, March 20th, 2024 on March 21st, 2024 on Before Coffee.
All right, this has been Allison here. Thank you for everyone for watching another Themeless Thursday with our March Madness men's bracket picks. And we will see you tomorrow for the women's bracket as well as for the Friday news dump. Here is your mic drop moment.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.